First of all, hey, thanks for being on this interview today, Krista. This is Krista Schrader, right? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, yeah.
And her husband, Luke. They're a team, and Espresso Agent wanted to talk to you, and it was so important to talk to you because you've had some success. First of all, tell us, how long have you been in real estate?
5 years combined, yeah.
5 years. Wow. And what were you doing before real estate?
Oh, man. So I was actually a barista at Starbucks and doing photography.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And Luke, what were you doing?
I was in the Army.
Oh, you're in the Army. Okay, perfect. So the husband and wife team. And what's also interesting is that you guys are still together, working together. So how does working as a husband and wife team work for you guys? Is that difficult at times? How's that working?
So I always tell people, you know, a lot of people see the Chip and Joanna stuff on HGTV, and it can be like that too. But it's difficult in the way that it's kind of like getting married all over again. So you have to kind of learn each other's boundaries all over again in a new field, really.
So you've been in it for 5 years, right? And you both started together?
Say that again?
You both started together as a team right off the bat?
No, so he got it in first, and then I actually got it. So I got in around August, actually. This August, and he got in 5 years ago.
Yeah, I've been in 5 years, and then, she saw me having so much fun, and this last summer, just joined board. It's been awesome since.
Yeah, so I used to help him more so with, small admin tasks and stuff like that leading up to me getting my license.
That's exciting. So, so tell us, how are you getting business now? Tell us a little bit about how you're getting your business.
So we have our business, the last couple years has been 100% really referrals, whether it be personal referrals or agent referrals. But then the last couple months, we realized with the market shifting, there was a lot more expireds and FSBOs coming up. So for the last 5 months now, that's when we jumped on Espresso Agent. And that's kind of been our #1 focus.
So you jumped on Espresso Agent 5 months ago?
Yes, 5 months ago.
Okay, and just tell us the success you've had, because it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so we actually, at one point, we got 12 listings in 2 weeks using Espresso Agent only.
Wow.
There was a time where there wasn't a day going by that we weren't signing a listing and either on 1 or 2 listing appointments for almost a good month.
Wow. And so tell me your schedule. How are you guys doing this together, working together?
So our schedule is actually really similar because I know some husband-wife teams split up. We actually do everything together. So we go in around 8:45, do a role play call, and then we get on the phones from 9 to 11 every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So both of you are calling separately or together?
We're calling together. I mean, not on the same phone call or anything, but we're sitting across from each other doing our own calls. Okay. Good. And primarily, your listings are coming from what source? Just Espresso Agent.
But I'm saying, like, was it expires for sub owners?
Oh, it's both, really. It's expires and for sale by owners.
She does the for sale by owners, and I handle the expires.
Okay. So, and why is that? Do you like them better? It says Luke likes the expires better. What's the deal there?
I think it's more how we handle each one.
Yeah.
FSBOs tend to need a little bit more nurturing and more suggestions, where expireds just want to get straight to the point, and Luke is a very straight to the point person. So, FSBOs kind of grind his gears a little bit, and I'm okay with kind of hand-holding a little bit and, kind of being the helpful person through the process.
Yeah. So Luke has no patience.
Yeah.
Krista does.
Yeah.
I get it. So tell me, so when you look in your marketplace, tell us where you're in. What market are you in?
So we're in Southwest Michigan, and the average sales price has dipped down to about $135-ish here.
Yeah, 135. We're Kalamazoo, Michigan.
So the average price is $135.
Yeah.
So what's the goal for you this year?
We want to do 75 transactions.
And to do 75 transactions, how many listings you have to have in inventory in your market, do you think?
Probably we're going to have upwards of almost 100.
100 in, I mean, at any given time as an inventory of houses, how many do you think you need to keep on, like in every month, you got to need so many of them?
Oh, every month we had factored that we had to grab give me a second. Sorry. It was 7 listings.
Okay, good. So you got to list 7 every month. Keep probably what, 7 to 10 on every given time, and then you get. How fast are they selling in your marketplace?
If the price range, so our average sales price, almost, anywhere 200 and under, it's going to sell in a couple days.
Wow.
But over that, it's going to take a little while. The other thing too is, since we started using Espresso Agent, we've actually doubled our average sales price. We're listing homes that are 500, 600, 700, a million plus, just because we're hitting those expireds and FSBOs there.
I think what it is too is Espresso Agent's really great at putting front and center who is kind of up to bat first. So, every time we call, Espresso Agent kind of puts forward who just put their house on the market or took it off that day.
Right.
So I think that's really important because we're usually the first call that they get.
So what I love about this is Krista's fresh in it. Luke's been there for 5 years, and you probably has seen different things that agents are doing to get business. And all of a sudden you hit Espresso Agent. It's like hitting the lottery, kind of, when you think about it. All right. So are you doing any, did that cut down your expenses? Because this is your ROI is unbelievable when you use the Espresso Agent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before, I have to tell you, we were on another dialer before Espresso Agent. And then just I guess the data just was totally off.
Literally anytime you talk to somebody using that data, it was not the name. And sometimes it wasn't even the address. That's how bad it was. And we knew we couldn't be that effective because, we call, but we also email and we also will send them, packages.
Right.
So we can't do that if all that data isn't correct. And Espresso Agent has been extremely great at pulling data that's actually correct that allows us to do that. And we have gotten listings just from text, emails, and sending them packages as well.
Yeah. So I know that didn't answer your question, but I'll answer that real quick.
Yeah.
So we've never really spent a lot of money on leads. So I would say we definitely did save money because we were looking at showing upwards of a couple $1,000s towards some different products, but
right.
we're getting so much inventory from this, it just doesn't make sense at the time.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Why change something that's not broken?
Exactly.
Things are happening here. So let's now take it from someone who's out there says, I really want to understand. First of all, listen, a guy's been in 10 years in the business, and all of a sudden you guys come in and do this stuff and it's working. They're going to be wondering, how are you doing it? So give me an idea how you break up your day. How do you actually start your day, and tell me how it all goes?
So basically, we wake up, we have 2 kids, so we take them to, daycare and school. We get into the office. Like I said, we do the role play at 8:45. So basically what that means is we actually practice our script that we're going to use for the day with somebody else, because it kind of helps you, be more accurate when you're on the phone to kind of get that first one out so that you're more smooth. And then we get on the phones at 9 o'clock. So I do my FSBO list. I hit the ones that come on the list first because it marks it new.
Right.
And then kind of go down the list from there. The nice thing about Espresso Agent is that they also have a little notes section. So, you can insert the timestamp. It takes 1 click. So you can see all the notes that you've put in what day and time. So I know right away when I'm calling that person, how many times I've actually interacted with them in some way and what it was. So I'm more prepared for the conversation, as well as what listing it is that I'm actually calling. The Zillow and Trulia buttons on the side will pull up the listing if I click on it, so that I sound more educated when I'm going through my script about their property. So it sounds more like a conversation and not so scripted.
I like that. I like what you just said, making it sound like a conversation. So you're making calls. I wrote down here, like at 9 o'clock, you're really on your way of making calls. And
Yeah.
Luke, are you right in the same room together when you're doing it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, a lot of people, they think, you got to be first. We're not the first person calling them at 9 a.m.
Right.
They get a few calls. They're warmed up.
Yeah.
We're literally, we could touch each other distance away. We can hear each other's conversation. And the nice thing about that, us working together, is we can, reward each other, congratulate each other when we set an appointment, but we can also be there when we had a tough conversation for each other and kind of help each other in that time too. And then in the afternoon, we try to set up times for a 1:30 and possibly a 3:30 appointment.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So let's touch base on what you just said, which I think is really important. This is my 34th year in this business. Okay. So, and I've been coaching for a very long time. So, what you said was really important, is that you're not the first one calling, right? So everybody thinks, oh, you got to be the first one. So why does it work for you?
Well, you'd be shocked, I'm sure, to hear that, not everyone gets into the office and gets to work, right away every single day consistently. So one thing is consistency. And then the other thing too is that it gives us edges. The people that aren't doing their job kind of give us an edge, because when we go to the appointment, we say, okay, because we'll be like, why should we hire you over anyone else? So we'll be like, well, how many people have actually reached out and called you or mailed you? And, you'd be shocked to hear that that number is very small. So in our town, there's 900 agents on our board. So they'll say 15 people have called me in the last 2 months. So we'll say, okay, are you aware there's 900 agents on the board? So, we say you should hire at least one of us, 15 that have actually reached out and tried to talk to you.
Yeah, but here's the point, is that you're still calling after they probably had how many calls from someone else, right? They probably had calls. So some way, though, how you're sounding and what you're saying is going, I got to meet with them.
Yes, yeah. I think that what it is everyone, they go to a coaching class and they have these scripts they leave with, and they're robotic. And we just base our conversations off of bullet points. So basically we ask good questions and then we listen. We ask another good question and then listen. Yeah. And honestly, we're only talking 5% of the time and listening the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you just said, because I think it's been oversold that you have to have this perfect script and everything's going to work out and the magic words will do it. But what you're saying is, listen, I'm listening, I'm understanding what their situation is, and that helps you to understand where to take them, right? And they sense that you're like really listening to them.
Exactly.
Right?
And the other thing too is we know that everybody has different discs. So we're going to respond. And if you let them talk, you'll be able to figure out the way they prefer to hear a lot quicker.
Gosh, you guys are just saying all the great stuff that I coach on, which I love is the disc. So let's just talk about that just for a second. So you're on the phone, Krista, and how do you adjust for the different discs? And I want to ask Luke the same thing. How do you adjust on disc? What are you doing purposefully that adjusts how you deliver what you deliver on the phone?
So I'm sure you're familiar with high Cs. I know a high C is going to be looking at more.
Wait, what is Luke? What is Luke?
So we're actually really similar. So we're both high DIs.
Okay. All right. Gosh.
Yeah.
I hate to see your arguments. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of D in the house.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. So tell me what you do.
So, I kind of, again, this is why asking questions and then just listening is so important. So I kind of actually will ask questions that allow them to get in a conversation with me where they're revealing what their problem is. And based off what their problem is, I can kind of tell who they are. So if they're leaning more towards a numbers thing, or, they're just really aggressive, I can kind of identify from their personality type just by how they're talking, if they're ranting or if they're more laid back,
Right.
You can really identify just by listening to them.
All right. So then now, let's just say okay, here's a good one, because the DIs, I know the ones that kind of the analyticals don't talk as much, right?
Yeah.
Right. So how do you get me to talk? How do you get me to move? Because, they're all different. So you must have to change something for them to actually respond to you, or for them to have feeling that there's some type of rapport. So is there anything that you say different to an analytical, same, or do you say different to an amiable, an S, the C or S? How do you change?
I try, with a C, I try to ask more questions, really. I mean, what did I don't know, if it's an expired, what did your last agent do? Or what would you like to see an agent do? Because those are fair questions, so they don't mind kind of answering those types of questions. Yeah. With the high D people, I know they don't really want to talk too much, so I try to get to the point with them.
Why did you look at Luke when you said that? Why did you look at him when he said that?
I'm a 99.
I have to do that.
I'm a 99D.
Oh gosh. So you got a handicap sticker on your car, right? When you pull up, yeah, special parking. I'm a 99D. Anyway, go ahead.
I can tell you what, when I talk with C's real quick, I'm bringing up the price per square foot of the house. I'm bringing up every detail about that house, and it was $122 a square foot. I can't believe it didn't sell.
Yeah.
And then with the S's, I'm bringing in the family. I'm bringing in the situations, the stuff that they can really relate with. With the I's, we're just talking about nothing, and just loving it.
Yeah.
Pretty high too. And with the D, I'm a D, so I know it. I know they just want to get to the point because I'm there too.
And that's what I mean too by identifying what their problem is. So like he was saying, like with the S, you talk more. They'll talk more about their family and wanting to go be with them. Usually is what their situation is, and so you kind of go more into like that interest with them of talking about their family. And then with the C's, you talk more like numbers, statistics, that type of stuff that would interest them to know. So it's really, identifying what their motivation is really. Okay,
let's stop for just a second. And guys, who's ever editing this, I see something that I need to fix here. So hold. All right, so what's happening here is that it's stuck on me and it's not giving me you. So I'm wondering why. Do you see, when we're talking, a change in picture at times where it's off of me and on you?
No, we see you the whole time and us.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm wondering why. Because, okay, so like right now, say something louder in this. Just get close to the microphone real quick and say something.
Hello?
Okay, that's the problem. So what's happening is you guys have to get closer because the system is not picking up you as much to switch it over to you. I was wondering why it's on me a lot. So
even when we said hello, it was still on you. We didn't see it flipped us.
Now it's on you. Now do it again. Say something. Louder.
Hello?
Do you see it switch?
No.
Well, we haven't seen it switch at all just because we can also see us at the same time.
Okay, so I must be the only one that can see it switch. And when it switches, I have a yellow frame around me. Okay. And let's resume. Okay, guys, we're going to resume the interview. We figured out that there was a problem with the switching over. So we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's go back to consistency. Because how do you fight the lack of it? There's so many things that can get in the way. How do you guys stay with it?
So I think a big thing is holding each other accountable. That's huge, which as a husband and wife team, we have no problem holding each other accountable. That's pretty easy to do. And then also we put our goals actually on something called a vision board. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And we put it right in front of our computers where we can see it. Because we always say that if you don't feel like doing it and you're thinking of quitting, you look at your board and ask yourself, am I okay with giving up one of those things because I didn't want to make phone calls today? Which your answer is usually no. That sounds lame, right? So, yeah.
Do you push each other? You guys actually got to nudge each other?
Oh, yeah.
Are you saying physically?
Well, you guys are married, so you guys could probably do that. But I'm saying is that, listen. We all know that prospecting is not, you can't wait to jump out of bed and do it. I mean, it's just, but it's your job, which I respect because it was my job. It was everybody's job. So how do you encourage each other when one person may not be in that mood?
One thing that we do is if we don't reach our goal, there's, what is the word I'm looking for here?
There's actually
a consequence.
Consequence.
Yeah. So our consequence, they're different. So this week is if I don't call every single day and hit my numbers, I have to get a pedicure Facebook Live. And then if she doesn't, she has to volunteer cleaning up the dishes at like a food, what are they?
Chick-fil-A.
Like Chick-fil-A or something. So it's like something that we definitely don't want to do. Like there's another idea we had thought about, so I'm military. So I'm thinking about writing a $100 check to the Westboro Baptist Church, because there's no way I'll ever give them a $100 check. So I'm going to get there and make sure I make those calls every single day. So, figure out how we can give each other consequences if we don't reach our goals.
You guys are pretty good. I like this. So So that's how you keep going at this thing. And so when you started to see the business change, okay, so you got into using Espresso Agent, and all of a sudden this thing starts kicking. It starts to change your momentum, because Luke's been in for 5 years. All of a sudden you get in, Krista, and all of a sudden this stuff starts to hit. Did you have a discussion like, oh my gosh, let's just dump everything else that we're doing and this is where we're going? I mean, there must have been a point in time when you reviewed this.
The first day we were on the phone, set 6 listing appointments.
Yeah, that was actually within the first week, really, which was insane.
But no, yeah, that first day, I kid you not, the first day Espresso Agent, 6 listing appointments between expires and FSBOs. We were thinking, what?
We thought,
was that a fluke?
Yeah, it didn't feel real. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So, okay. So this thing happens. You're like going, woohoo. So now you got to, how did you juggle this? Because you weren't in that type of schedule mode before. This never happened before. So how did you now take on the actual listing appointments and scheduling and all that stuff that you had to do for it?
Oh, you mean like fitting it into our life?
Fitting into the life, and then actually going to these things more than you ever had before.
Yeah, so time blocking really, which, you know, is the practice of blocking off certain hours in the day for what you want to do. And that includes, people usually cut it off at family time, but we include family time in that, because in real estate, it's very easy to just say yes to everything and then accidentally run over into all the other times. And before you know it, it's 12 o'clock and you feel like you did nothing and you didn't realize that you actually did something all day.
Right.
So that's kind of a tool that we utilize, is blocking off certain hours in the day. So, you know, that's why I say 9 to 11, we're always calling. That's because that's the time we time blocked for that. And we have time for responding to people as well. We time block certain hours for that. And then, you know, going on appointments and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, no matter what, if we can't, I'd rather skip a listing appointment than skip lead generation time.
Yeah.
All right, that's a biggie. I'd rather skip appointment time than lead generation time.
Yeah, that is the most important thing, because you have to view it as, if I don't show up to work today, I will not see the paycheck 90 days from now.
How has this changed your life? I mean, all this stuff going on with you. I mean, you know, it wasn't like you were in the military. It's a lot different, man, than what it was before. How did this perspective start to change in your life and your business when you started seeing this thing hit?
Well, I mean, financially, our business is going to more than double this year. And then now we're hiring. We made offers for buyer agents, work with administrative staff. So we're actually starting to buy back our time, which is huge.
Yeah. How's it work with the family now? How do you balance that whole work and family thing now?
So we have a time blocked out in the afternoon. During the weekdays, it's a little shorter. So, you know, it's probably from about like 5 o'clock on till they go to bed, which is around like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then we have time after that to kind of catch up on anything. But it's really nice because we're still able to, people get this bad idea that if you're in real estate, you don't have time for family, and they just have to understand you actually could have family time. I think if you actually sat down and looked at everything you did in the day and put them all into time chunks, you would see you have more time than you realized, and you were just kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And then we actually block off a whole day on the weekend, whether that be a Sunday or a Saturday, and we just spend that whole day with family, and we've not lost any business just because we did that.
A lot of people don't believe this, but with our business doubling, we actually have more time.
Yeah.
Because we went from being busy to being productive.
Yeah. But that also doesn't mean that we took more time. To some degree, if you're able to free up more time, you still have to spend that time producing more business then, because you don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to go spend the entire day with my family now. You still have to some degree, to continue to grow, you still have to fill those spots. But yes, we do have more family time still, and just based off
real quick, 2 stats. Our business the last 6 months has been 90% seller focused. Which to me, it's really a 9 to 5 job. Most of our appointments are during the day. We don't work as many weekends since we became seller focused. There's really not a lot of nights. I mean, we still do night appointments, but we have a lot of time now. It's funny, even though our business doubled.
Yeah. And one more thing I think is important too is we've got comfortable with the idea that we can set expectations with our buyers and sellers. So I actually have a voicemail that will let them know what times I respond to their, because everyone in real estate has an emergency, right? So they know what time to expect me to call back. And then that way I'm also not, blowing through my time blocks just because I went to answer one call and it turned into an hour conversation.
When do you turn away a prospect? I mean, what's your criteria to say, you know what, this may not work for us because, you've got everything structured out the way you'd like it? Is there any point in time where you actually have to say, we have to let this one go?
Some of the best deals we've ever done were the deals we didn't.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is. So
explain that.
Say it again.
Explain that.
Yeah. So again, basically that means if we know someone's going to take a majority of our time, the big thing for us is we spend the most money of anyone we know in this area on photography. We feel like we have some of the best marketing. We know that it's an investment every single time we take a listing. So if we think we're going to put money into this and at the end the investment doesn't make sense, it's going to take a lot of time, it's a not saleable listing, we're not going to put our money on the line for that. It's not a smart investment. So we're going to explain that whether it be we think someone's going to take too much time of ours, or again, it's just not going to sell. And we'll have that conversation and possibly refer them out if we think someone could be a better fit.
And the way we kind of do that too is when we sit down with them, we kind of tell them like, it has to make sense for us too. I'm not going to pay for pictures, this and this. So I'm not going to give you a bogus price I think you want to hear. I'm going to give you a price that makes sense because otherwise it doesn't make sense for me either. And we're wasting both of our times,
I like that. I mean, I hope everybody who's on is listening to this because what you're saying is it has to be right for you. You're not groveling at the feet of the listings.
No.
And backfires when you do that. So don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, as many times in my early career that I've taken listings, my wife goes, you know what? You won that one. And now you got the hot potato in your lap.
Yeah.
Because, as salespeople, you want to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah, we could add a whole lot more listings, but who wants a listing where the seller's the highest bidder?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. So if you could give advice to people that are struggling and they need to get back on track quick, not setting you up they need help. Some people, how this 90% of the people, 80% of people out there are just struggling. What advice would you give them?
You need to look in the mirror and ask yourself if you're scheduling your day correctly or scheduling at all, because I know a lot of agents don't actually do that. And you need to ask yourself if you have things set up that are going to hold you accountable. So like I said, we're really blessed where we have built-in accountability here because we're married. But if you can't do that on your own, which most people cannot do that, you need to find somebody and you tell them all your goals and everything you want to do this year, because it really hurts if you have to check in with that person every week and say, I didn't meet my goals this week.
Right.
So I think the big thing is you need to hold yourself accountable and then make sure your calendar makes sense. And you don't have to say yes to everything and you don't have to say yes to everyone. It has to make sense.
What do you say, Luke? Do you agree on that, or would you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I have a couple of things to add. The first thing is hire a coach.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, believe me, for the last couple of years, I was like, that doesn't make sense, but I get it now. It took me time, but I get it. A couple other things. The other thing I'm going to say is if you're like want to do one thing and focus on one thing, just get on the phone, do that, figure that out. The rest will fall in place.
Yeah, it does not. A big thing they kind of, I think focus on is it doesn't have to be perfect either.
And one thing I say is, depending on where you are in your business, you'll know what you need to focus on. So if you're not making the phone calls, well, that's the first thing you have to focus on. But if you're making calls, but you're not setting appointments, then you have to work on role play. Let's say you're setting appointments, but you're not closing them, work on your listing presentation. And then you're getting the properties, but they're not closing, work on pricing the property. There's basically 5 steps and you'll know exactly where you're lacking. And if you figure out all 5 of those, you'll close a lot of properties.
Yeah, and what you're saying, it's less complicated than we make it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But before you had Krista on the team, how were you doing it before?
Yeah. So like I said, 75% of my business was agent referrals. And then the other 25% was from circle prospecting. And then when she had first come on, I had gotten pretty busy where I had kind of slowed down on the circle prospecting. So she had picked it up, and we put everything in the dialer, and the data just, it wasn't what we wanted. So at that point, we said, we have to figure out what are we going to do. And we started to see an influx of for sale by owners and expireds. And that's kind of what brought us to jumping in Expresso Agent and kind of where we are today.
So how the competition must be really upset with you guys. Because you're taking it, you're actually making the calls. And I can say, well, oh, you already talked to Krista and Luke. Okay. You know how the agents get that way. So are you seeing that happening in your marketplace where the other agents may back off because they know you're on it?
Yeah, all 10 of them are probably going to slow down.
Yeah. That good answer. I like that. So, to me, first of all, I think it's fascinating that you simplified the business. You actually you focused on one or two things and got really, really good at it. Where do you see this thing going? Where's the future of, Krista and Luke's business? Where do you think this can go?
I mean, we don't really have a limit for it. We think, with how things are going now, we see a really successful future. I mean, in the future, we would love to coach ourselves and stuff and help other agents because, like you said, people overcomplicate real estate, and it's actually really simple. You just have to know what things to put in place to keep you accountable and kind of, keep you on that schedule. But yeah, that's the nice thing of real estate is there's no ceiling really. And that excites us a lot.
I mean, do you have a different vision now? I mean, listen, I had 6 kids when I was doing real estate. Okay. So every deal was so important. You start to understand the future of what you can do with your kids and everything else. What do you see is the next step? Let's just say in the next year, 2 years for you and the business. What do you think you need to add to it to make you get to that next step?
Really just a team that's strong and has the same values as us.
Yeah, I think if we can figure out a good administrative team and a buyer side team, we'll be able to continue to grow the listing side. And we're going to get to a point where we want to get towards some warmth. We're here in Southwest Michigan.
Yeah.
So we would love the team to be able to run itself, and we can go create another team wherever the warmth is. I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet. We were in Santa Barbara, 2 years ago, and that was an amazing place, and that's a place we have our eyes on.
Yeah, because you guys were in the polar vortex or whatever it was over there.
I put from Espresso Agent, I put a sign up during the vortex. I don't know how I got it in the ground, but
yeah, there was a lot of people home answering their phones that day. It was awesome.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing you say, guys, just to kind of wrap up, that once you started focusing on that one focus on the listings, things started to explode. 90% of what you do right now is seller focused, right? So if you do have a buyer, how does that work?
We started using showing assistants. Yeah. So we still handle the transaction, but we don't go out really and show them. We have other agents that do that for percentage.
Yeah, which allows us to replace that time with calling more people.
Got it. So I guess Expresso Agent's going to be around for a while for you guys.
Yeah.
I would say.
As long as you let us.
That's great. Hey, so here's what we're first of all, thanks for being on with me today. And I think what you said is important. The fact that you've only been in for 5 years. Krista just started. She left Starbucks, jumps on in. She's got a grande vanilla latte in one hand, and she just comes on board and kicks it in high gear on the phone, which I highly commend you guys on this. So thanks so much for being on, and appreciate you being on for the interview. Stop. Good. So if they're going to cut it off, just say, you could end it with just saying thanks for being on or whatever. Thanks for leaving us. So I'm going to do it again. So guys, thanks for being on today. You guys could close it.
Oh, you cut out there.
All right. Hold on a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks both of you for being on. You've shared some great information, and I'm sure everybody's going to be able to now take notes and jump in and call. Luckily, they're not in your marketplace, which is actually pretty good. Hopefully not. So thanks again for being on.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So if for some reason we got to do it again because your microphone wasn't that good, we might have to. So I'll send it up to them, let them see what's going to go on. And so because even when you were talking, it was really weird. It actually sounded louder sometimes and faded, and you did nothing, and you could be the same. So either way, if it's not, we have to do this over because what you're saying is just so important. Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, guys.
Our lender has like mics and stuff. They might be able to hook it up to the computer. I'm not sure. So if you needed us to do that again, it'd totally be fine.
It's an Apple Mac. You'd think these $1,500 computers figure.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird. It's not. It was picking up in and out, and it's going to take the dominant mic. And I have, one of these fancy Yankee things here that pulls it in. So this is going to be the dominant one, but it still should have come over. Guys, listen, man, I'm really encouraged by what you said, and it's good stuff. I think what you have to say is so important to some of these other ages, man. I mean, you're doing it. I mean, that's the way I started. I was making, 100 contacts a day on the phone. So I get it.
She had her first month, she had 3 for sale by owners that she called. And they, even before we got to the listing appointment, they basically said, come list my home. I couldn't.
Yeah, when I called them to fill the appointment, they just said, well, we're just going to list with you.
Is that right? Isn't that great?
That's the best feeling ever. I can't lie.
Yeah, but because you were so on, you know what I'm saying? When you're so on and you're just beaming with confidence of what you can do.
Well, just listening to them, so many agents think like I have to follow this script, and it's not that. The script is really suggestions of things you should probably ask them at some point during the conversation, but it's not like the conversation, with them.
That's a very, very good point. And when I'm coaching and teaching, it's all about really it's behavior science more than anything else. Then the words to say and what the right words. So this is really cool. So keep up the good work. I'll let you know if things have to change or not. Thanks for having the time out to do this with me.
No, yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Have a good one. See ya.